gonna give back the ring because he was gonna propose to another cast member. Let's insert that clip here. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Jada here, back with another video, and today we are finally going to be talking about the Love is Blind season 4 reunion. So when I posted the Love is Blind season 4 review, I think I did everything leading up to the marriage. I talked about everything that transpired while they were living together, during the pods, the honeymoon. I think I pretty much talked about everything. So the reunion in itself was interesting because it was supposed to be live and there were some technical difficulties, and when they actually put the show up on Netflix, it was no longer live, okay? So it was just kind of like, Netflix, you are pretty much a billion-dollar company at this point. I'm gonna need y'all to get it together. Y'all got the money, okay? Figure it out. That definitely kind of upset me a little bit. I was just kind of like, okay, what's going on? You know what I mean? But we're gonna move on. So either way, we still got to watch the reunion. It was like an hour and some long, okay? It wasn't too crazy. It wasn't 2 parts, okay? Like a lot of these reunions like to be these days, like 3 and 4 different parts. And I was like, this is unnecessary. Like everything y'all had to say about this one season could have been said and jam-packed into one freaking episode, okay? Let's get into it. You already know all the couples that ended up saying yes to each other. So we had Brett and Tiffany, and then we also had Kwame and Chelsea, and then of course Bliss and Zach. Okay, so those were the 3 couples that decided to say yes to each other at the altar. And of course in my other video I did tell you guys about everything that transpired, okay? It was just a mess. In that video I did tell you guys about Marshall and Jackie pretty much deciding to go their separate ways, and then obviously Paul and Micah didn't make it because Paul had said no, and Micah was like sort of distraught, I guess. And then of course when it came to Zach and Bliss, he didn't originally pick Bliss, okay? He had picked Irina, and that was like an ongoing theme or point of tension for me because I was really frustrated the entire time. I was like, Bliss, what are you going to say? Because Zach seems like a good dude. Like, are you gonna say yes? Like, I really want to know, you know? But anyways, we're just gonna start, okay? I'm gonna stop babbling. Let's just get into it. I think I'm gonna do this from the least problematic and drama filled to the most. So let's start off with Brett and Tiffany. Vanessa, I remember she had asked them how everything was going, how she was settling in, because let's be honest, the entire season they didn't really have much drama, okay? They pretty much got along well from the beginning. They talked about whatever they needed to talk about, whatever was kind of pressing to discuss, they talked about it. And Brett just seemed like a very much so overall just gentleman, and Tiffany and her feminine, she just was like enjoying everything. Everybody seemed to be getting along. Their families seemed to gel well with each other. So yeah, I was happy with all of that. I think ultimately the only hiccup that they really had was when Tiffany was kind of feeling a little overwhelmed with everything, the planning of the wedding and the bridesmaids and all this stuff, and she was just like, I don't even want a wedding. And it was like, girl, hush, you'll be okay. You know what I mean? I understood the anxiety and like the stress. However, it was like, you will get through this, okay? And you'll look back on it with fondness and be happy that you said yes to the altar, which she did. So, you know, it was like everything just went almost a little too smoothly with them. I was wondering when things were going to hit the fan, but it never did. So I'm hoping that it stays in a healthy place for them because they seem like the healthiest couple on the show, let's be honest. So it does seem as though everything is going pretty well. Also, I started following her and Brett on Instagram, and I think she had to do like a photo and video dump on her Instagram because obviously before the show premiered, they couldn't really share that they had been married. You know what I mean? They couldn't really share that they had been married for over a year since shooting. So that was pretty nice to see that they were going on dates together, trips together. Everything was going really well. And then on top of that, both of them, they're really well situated financially. They both are doing things that they love, it sounds like, job-wise. So I think that their lives lives are going pretty well, at least from what I've seen. Obviously, you never really know what's going on behind the scenes, but just based on what I've seen, it seems as though they're in a good place. There was a lot of comments about how much Brett makes and the fact that he was able to say in the show, if you need more space, we'll just get a bigger apartment. And I was like, oh, he got money. Like, he got money. Not that that should be the only thing you look for. However, financial security these days is very, very important, okay? With all that being said, let's move on to Kwame and Chelsea. So Kwame and Chelsea, even though I had a lot of things to say in that other video about Kwame not really seeming that into Chelsea as she was into him, and other people definitely thought so as well, and that got presented in the reunion to them, and they responded by pretty much saying like, you know, you don't really know me and Chelsea. Basically, this is Kwame now. He's like, you don't really know me and her relationship and all the in-between things that you didn't get to see in the show. A lot of things didn't get filmed, it didn't get recorded, and a lot of things got cut out. So you didn't really get to see us interact with each other and get to know each other, right? And I was like, sure, Kwame, sure. Obviously, it's based on how you edit it. You know, obviously, if the producers want to have a certain type of storyline and things perpetuated, then they're going to edit things a certain way and chop it up a certain way. But it was like, I mean, Kwame, it just seemed like every time y'all were together, it was forced on your part. It's like, you can't tell me that every time I saw you guys interact with each other and I thought it was cringe, that it was like just a matter of how they edited it. Like every time, every episode, you know, like I don't know about this. I don't know about that. It was like, I kind of obviously understand what he means at the end of the day, but it's like I still have my feelings of doubt with them as a couple. I really don't feel like they're that well suited for each other. Obviously Chelsea thinks so, but I don't think Kwame's that into her. But you know, every now and again I would see videos pop up on my TikTok feed of them two together. I don't follow either of them on Instagram, so I don't know what they post on Instagram, but it might show up in my search feed or whatever it's called. I think it was Vanessa who had brought up the whole issue between Micah and Kwame to Chelsea, and she wanted to get Chelsea's feedback on the whole situation because there was an unseen part where Micah had actually had a conversation with Chelsea by herself about what had happened during the honeymoon and how Kwame and Micah seemed as though they were getting a little too close and a little too friendly with each other. And then Micah was also addressing the fact that she had made some jokes about Kwame and Chelsea's relationship. Personally, I think with the apology, Micah is the type of person to care more about how she looks in the public eye versus her actually deeply caring behind the scenes about your feelings. I think she was just more so wrapped up in the idea of, I'm just trying to save myself by doing this, so I'm really just more genuine in the fact that I'm trying to save myself by apologizing. But either way, they talked that through, and Kwame was like, yeah, I really feel bad about everything. Me and Chelsea, we talked about it behind the scenes, and I just wanted her to know that I'm not that guy. I hate that I was perpetuated as that type of player. That's not what he said verbatim, but it was something along those lines. You know, he just didn't like the way that he was being seen. They didn't really have much to talk about. That was probably the only interesting point of tension between Kwame and Chelsea, really. They also addressed the thing with Kwame not really being that dedicated to the relationship or marriage. So yeah, there wasn't really much said. So we're just gonna move on to Paul and Micah. So Paul did end up saying no to Micah at the altar, and Micah did run away crying. And there was a moment where Micah did get to talk to Paul a little bit before everything kind of ended, and then she was just kind of like, you know what, just go, like, I'm done talking to you. So I don't know if after they wrapped filming, if they actually got to talk to each other or what. Actually, wait a minute, I think they did, because I think in the reunion they did say that they continued trying to date each other, but there wasn't really anything there, which I'm not really surprised, because Paul does seem like a pretty genuine type of dude, but he does kind of overanalyze and overthink a little bit too much. But I do think that by doing that, he dodged a bullet with Micah, you know, in terms of overthinking the relationship and just saying no at the end of the day, because I do feel like Micah was not really that involved. I don't really think that they gave each other what they both needed. I think overall with Micah, I don't really think she was capable of doing that. Her personality type does not give me the vibe that she would be able to give a partner security in the relationship to be like, okay, this is my person, you know what I mean? I think she's very surface level and probably will continue to be surface level. I said what I said. But with Paul, I feel like he didn't really give much of himself because he didn't feel that Micah was giving much of herself. So you see the difference? I think with Micah, she didn't have much of herself to give. But I think that Paul wanted to give everything that he had, but he didn't feel as though Micah was giving anything, which he wasn't. You know what I mean? So with all that being said, let's hop into the reunion drama, okay? So we get into their relationship and obviously the fact that Paul had said no, and Micah was like, I just want to know the reason. You know, what was ultimately the reason that you said no to me? And Paul's just like, listen, I just personally don't feel as though you had what I was looking for overall as a wife and as a mom, potentially in the future. You know what I mean? I just personally don't see you as being a good mom or a good mother figure to any kids we possibly had. And I just didn't really feel that you could be a good wife. And he didn't really go into detail about what he meant by that, but I kind of already knew. Because like I said, she just seems very surface level. She doesn't really give me the vibe that I really have substance to me. I can't really force you to be a certain way. And I completely agree. You can't force someone to be something that they're not deep down, because you're just going to be working against yourself, and that person is probably going to end up resenting you for trying to change them. So I think that it was better off for them to just leave things as it was, let the dust settle on that relationship, keep it pushing. But Vanessa kept pushing the issue because she was like, I feel like you didn't really get the answer. Talking to Micah now, I feel like you didn't really get the answer you was looking for. Okay, and Micah responds, she's just like, yeah, I need more information. I feel like I've been duped. Like, I need to know why. You're just running around in circles, basically. And it was just kind of like, Vanessa, like, this man did his best. Like, what do you want him to say? You want him to go into specifics? I don't know what you want this man to say to her right now. They could have a conversation outside of the reunion that maybe goes into depth, but clearly he's not trying to embarrass her on TV or on Netflix anyway, because it wasn't really live. I just didn't really understand why Vanessa was trying so hard to push that issue and make drama happen when there wasn't no drama. Clearly, this man did not see what he wanted in Micah. So that's why they're not together at the end of the day. Like, I don't understand why you need a further explanation. It was just really weird, that angle. I was like, I don't see why this is necessary. Y'all broke up. That's it. Like, let's keep it pushing, you know what I mean? And the thing is, it's like, what do you want him to say? You can't cook. You can't clean. Like, I don't know. It's like, why would he say something like that? To have people on his neck. Right. So anyways, yeah, that was just really annoying because it was like, okay. But I'm just gonna insert a TikTok really quick. The girl was talking about the whole Paul and Micah situation and then also Vanessa. And she also talks about Vanessa's dress. I think it was on this side. That weird silvery, like glittery thing that she had attached to the dress. I was like, what is that? But anyway, let me just insert that here.
The worst part of the Love is Blind live reunion, besides this thing on Vanessa's shoulder, besides the interview with Jackie, was when at the end Marshall said, you know, at the end of the day, we all came on this show for like love and peace and, you know, not for fights and drama. And so in the end, you know, everybody who found love, congratulations. When Vanessa said, actually, in marriages and in life, there's fights and there's drama. And so, yeah, there's that. Girl, no, that's your marriage. In your marriage, there's fights and drama. The other worst part was when Micah was being Micah. And Vanessa Lachey's gonna say, I'm gonna speak for everybody when I say, bitch, don't speak for everybody because I don't feel that way. She's gonna say, I'm gonna speak for everybody when I say that Micah, we don't feel like you're holding what's his name, Paul over the fire. We don't feel like you're holding Paul over the fire. Like, we feel like you're just trying to get answers. Bitch, that's how you feel. You feel like that. I don't.
So that was really funny, but yeah, I completely agree with her. I was like, why is drama your focus though? It was just really weird. I'm like, I know this is a TV show and all, but some people actually genuinely came to be genuine and get genuine love back. Vanessa, you know? Zach actually comes to Paul's rescue a little bit after Vanessa takes up for Micah and tries to push him on the issue. And he's just like, I just hate the fact that you're trying to paint Paul as this bad guy and this bad dude when he's not. And Vanessa comes back in to speak for Micah again. And she's just like, well, I mean, I don't feel as though you're coming for blood, Micah. I don't feel as though you're doing that. And it was like, just shut up. Like, please just let them talk. Please be quiet. I don't even think Nick got to talk for the majority of this reunion. Vanessa talked for the majority of this dang reunion, bro. But anyways, let's move on to Zach and Bliss. So, like I already said, Zach and Bliss, they pretty much had to reconnect because Zach had ultimately picked Irina, but that didn't work out. So he goes back to Bliss and he's just like, look, I made a mistake. And Bliss is just like, okay, I'll accept that apology. We'll continue to see each other and date. And eventually they got engaged. And they said yes to each other at the altar. So in short, I was really happy that she said yes because I was like, you guys know y'all are meant to be. Like, stop playing. They are at the reunion and they talk about, of course, their marriage as of late. It's been going pretty well, it seems. But the only thing that they really could talk about in terms of drama anyway was Irina. Okay, the situation with Irina. And apparently after Irina had seen Zach in person, she had messaged Bliss. I don't remember the exact timeline, but I think she messaged Bliss and she was like, oh, you dodged a bullet, right? And you remember how in the other video, I was like, you could clearly tell Irina was not attracted to Zach in the slightest. Like, in the slightest, honey. She had this look of semi-disgust on her face and was trying hard to pretty much wipe it away with a smile. And it was like, you could tell this is an uncomfortable as hell type of smile, okay? But anyways, yeah, so they ended up calling it off on the honeymoon because I was like, oh, thank God, this is so awkward. They weren't talking to each other, interacting, and not for lack of trying on Zach's part. It was all Irina. Irina did not want to even associate or mix and mingle when they were at parties with Zach. She wanted to talk to everybody else, got connected to Paul and all, talking about, yeah, I kind of have a thing for Paul, to Micah. And I'm just like, girl, what? When you engaged to what? Apparently, she had sent that text message to Bliss, right? And I think shortly after Bliss and Zach had reconnected, she told Zach about that message. And of course, he was going to be hurt by that. But when Irina gets on to talk to them pretty much about the whole situation and how it went down, she was like, yeah, I really feel bad for how everything went down and how it looked. And I just really feel bad for my behavior and I want to apologize. And I was like, it still doesn't feel that genuine. It seems more like a self-preservation type of thing. Because you even showed who you were when you guys were just living together. Like, all the women were living together and you were treating Bliss like ish. And it wasn't even just Bliss. There was a moment where I think another woman, she was talking to Paul, I think, and Micah had asked Irina to go listen to what she was saying. I can't remember her name, but it was another woman. She was crying off in the corner and Irina is trying to overhear what she's saying and she's just laughing, you know, as she tries to run away and just like, abort mission, like we can't do this anymore, and she's just running away laughing. And I'm just like, how is this funny? So like I said, her and Micah were just kind of like the mean girls of the group. So I feel like by seeing that, you kind of verify the type of person that Irina really is. So I wasn't really surprised when all of this came out. But the thing is, what gets me is that Zach couldn't see that. It was like, boy, how? So that was really strange. Bliss seemed as though she kind of took it on the chin. She was like, you know what? We're just gonna call a spade and leave this conversation. If your apology is genuine, I accept it, but I personally don't feel like it was genuine. I really don't. But again, Bliss and Zach seem pretty content in their marriage, and I'm happy for them. Obviously, it was a mistake at the beginning on Zach's part. I don't even know how that happened, but at the end of the day, he still made the right one. So I'm happy for them. There was also a TMZ clip that had come up of Bliss and Zach going through the airport, and the person asking the questions, he was like, you feel as though Irina's apology was genuine? And I'm like, as genuine as it probably could be. She in the video was like, oh, okay, you know, I accept it. And then I think he also asked him about kids, but I'll just insert that clip here.
Did you find Irina's apology genuine?
You know what? I can't really speak to that. That's really up to her. Only she can tell us if that was genuine or not, but I felt it was genuine enough to accept it.
People were saying you're going to be the first ones to get pregnant. That's what the...
Is that what they're saying?
Well, yeah.
Oh, wow.
What do you guys think about that?
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. The race is on.
At the end of the day, I'm happy for them. It seems as though they're happy to be with each other. So we're just gonna move on to the last couple, which I feel was the most drama-filled couple, which is why I ultimately saved them for the end, okay? But Jackie and Marshall. I need to take a deep breath before we get into them. Just give me a second. Woosah. Okay, this was very interestingly done. I feel like Marshall got gypped yet again. He got duped when it came to the overall experience because Jackie didn't even make it to the point of the altar to even say no or yes. She just decided to just break up with Marshall. Just smack in the middle of the show. They weren't a thing for episodes on episodes. But he gets duped for a second time because Jackie doesn't even have the guts to face him in person. She doesn't even show up to the reunion in person. She is non-existent. Up until Vanessa actually says that she actually did an interview with both her, Jackie, and Josh. Jackie and Josh. So not too long ago, after they came out with the reunion, or I think right before, Jackie had posted over on her Instagram a picture of her and Josh, basically announcing that they were together. And I'm just like, you know what? You guys deserve each other. You deserve each other completely. So they were together in the interview, and Vanessa is asking these questions about, you know, Marshall, and Jackie says some very interesting things. She alleges a lot of things, and we're just gonna dive into it. So Jackie, she didn't want to give the ring back to Marshall because, you know, that was a thing during the episodes. They had an argument. They decided to ultimately call it quits on the relationship, but Jackie did not want to give the ring back to Marshall. And she says to Vanessa in the interview that I didn't want to give back the ring because he was going to propose to another cast member. Let's insert that clip here.
Marshall wanted the ring back because he wanted to propose to another castmate.
And then like 2 weeks after production stopped.
But guess you didn't. Hey Josh, anything you want to say about your role?
So this was wild. Honestly, looking at Marshall's reactions while watching this interview, literally my same exact reaction. Marshall was me on that reunion stage, okay? He was everybody, I think, watching that reunion, just confused as hell. What are you talking about, sis? Even Kwame was confused. You know it's bad when even Kwame is trying to figure out, girl, what the hell is you talking about? Everyone was just looking around super confused. Everybody's trying to figure out, like, what the hell is Jackie talking about? And because it was pre-recorded, you can't really talk to anybody. It's pretty much like you talking to yourself. You can't address anything. So he got duped yet again. It was like, how? How, Sway? At the end of the day, because of that reason, it's not even like they could really have a full conversation. But it was alleged that Marshall, okay, by Jackie, she alleged that Marshall had said some interesting things, very hurtful things to her in text messages, and I heard that it was kind of like a mutual thing, at least for Marshall. It was back and forth. I gotta be honest, I think that it's very interesting that when it came to Marshall being called pretty much sweet and kind of gay, you know, it was just kind of like, I mean, that's very interesting that you have to come for him in that way. But according to Marshall, they were kind of joking back and forth, and I guess he just took it a little bit too far. You know how people like to poke and prod at you and make fun of you, and then when you have a comeback that's actually a little bit more devastating, like their feelings get hurt, and it's just kind of like, oh, you could dish it, but you can't take it. Okay. So basically, Jackie was kind of making fun of Marshall, calling him sweet, sensitive, pretty much gay, okay? And it was just kind of like, if he wanted to be gay, I think he'd be gay. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, what are you getting at? So Marshall comes back and he says, well, I think you kind of look like a man. And I was like, oh, Marshall, don't do that. I was like, oh no. So they both said kind of weird things to each other and just little jabs here and there. I still honestly think that Marshall kind of played it really easy on her because he could have said a lot of things, I'm sure. He actually did an interview with the same person that Raven from season 3, I think, had done. I can never remember the name of the dang podcast. But anyways, I'll try to also put the name of the podcast at the bottom. I remember Marshall was saying that he wanted to give Jackie some grace because perhaps, you know, she's going through a lot. And obviously you could tell from the moment she had that emotional breakdown at their honeymoon that she was going through a lot in real life and had to deal with a lot of stuff with her family. Apparently her dad was really sick. He had cancer, I think. But even Marshall was like, yeah, I think we should just kind of go easy on Jackie, you know? And I'm really surprised at how mature Marshall is, because he could have been so petty, and Jackie wouldn't have been there to even defend herself or say anything in response, because she didn't even have the kahunas to show up to the reunion in the first place. So with all that being said, I think Marshall did everything, at least responding, okay, to the allegations and things that were said. He answered them with grace, okay? He responded to the whole possibly proposing to another castmate thing by saying, like, I don't know what the hell she's talking about. However, when it came to her and me, my focus was on her the entire show. I did not have my eyes on anybody else, and I wholeheartedly believe that, because Marshall just seems like the type of person that really came there for love. Jackie seemed confused from the jump, okay, but I think Marshall was dead set on Jackie. With all that being said, it was nice to see a different take on the reunion, because the reunions in the past, they were all done just with the cast and no audience. So I like the fact that they had an audience in this one, and there was like some mixed reactions to some responses that were given to some questions. So yeah, it was nice to see that. And then also at the end of it all, they showed us some clips of all the couples in their marriage lives, you know, their married lives anyway, because it has been a year since they wrapped filming, so it's been a minute. Kwame and Chelsea, they seem to have a very like playful relationship. Marshall and Jackie, they obviously don't have any relationship at all, no friendship, no connection, nothing. Brett and Tiffany, they seem to be, like I said already, getting along really well. Zach and Bliss, they have their little cringy singing moments. Zach is singing to Bliss and they're dancing, and I'm just like, this is really cringe. I don't want to see this, but I'm happy you guys are in love. You know what I mean? I'm happy y'all love each other's company. I do want to give an update on Marshall. It does seem as though he might be in another relationship with someone. I did hear that some of the fans were actually trying to get him hooked up with Ayana. I think that was season 2. Yeah, Ayana and Jared, they had gotten divorced, but I think it was because Jared had cheated, and I think not too long ago she kind of confirmed that.
I realized when I found her on social media on IG that she had also DM'd me.
It does seem like Marshall is in a relationship now. Irina, I don't know what the hell she's doing. And then also Jackie, you know, is with Josh. But anyways, with Marshall, I do have to say one quick update that I saw. People were trying to get on him for something that he said over on, I think, Twitter. This was like literally a decade ago. I think he said something to the effect of, I really prefer dating light-skinned women. And I was like, oh no, 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 no. And a lot of people were saying, like, why wouldn't people, like, before they get into the public eye, like on these TV shows and stuff, delete like half your Twitter, all your social media, just go through it and delete, okay? Clean yourself up, clean it all up, okay? Before you get into these shows and stuff like that, because people will dig. As soon as people realize Marshall was like the sweetheart and people was liking him too much, oh, we can't stand this. We gotta find something. But anyways, personally, I feel like dating preference wise, I don't get into that type of stuff. Like, I could care less what you do behind the scenes, who you love. Like, I could care less, really. But the thing is, when you tweeted it like 10 years ago, why do you care? I don't understand. Why do you care? Do you want to be in a relationship with Marshall? Is that it? You want him? Just say it. You know what I mean? It's just like, geez, clearly you feel a little interesting about that. But honestly, I feel like, yes, Marshall should not be tweeting out stuff like that ever. Just keep that to yourself. I don't even know why that was a tweet to begin with, sir. Even if that's what you're thinking in your head, you don't need to post it. That's why I have a lot of issues with people that literally just post just to post. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't like Twitter fingers. And they post their whole lives and thoughts and feelings. Everything as it comes to their head, they just post it. You know what I mean? It's like, ooh, I need to stay away from you, child. But anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comments on this one. I'll be catching you guys in the next video. Peace.